Welcome everyone to our session today on our brand new program from Realityworks, the Childcare Experience. We will be sharing the program overview with you first. We will be going through all of the parts and pieces of the program. We'll be talking about how they all work together, some about the curriculum. We will even be showing you through some of the software and also demoing some of the events. We'll show you some of the reporting that's available with it. We'll do a little bit deeper dive into the curriculum, some of the packages and pricing, and of course, at the end, we will have time for any Q&A you might have. So if you have a question along the way, feel free to type it in the chat. Emily will be monitoring that because we want to make sure that we have a chance to answer all your questions. So here we go, the Childcare Experience. What is this brand new program? Well, it's really a simulated infant caregiving experience in an infant room. Think of it as a pop-up daycare in your classroom. So it's really an on-site simulation, not a take-home. Your students are going to be tasked with being an infant childcare worker, caring for multiple babies of varying ages. And this simulation will emulate a day in the life of an infant childcare worker as closely as possible. And then your students will get experience clocking into their shift. They will be caring for each infant. They'll have to prioritize care when multiple infants need care at the same time, because that's what happens in real life. Students will also have to document the care given to each infant in the parent reporting app. Things like random health, safety, and parent communication events will also occur during their shift. So it's really designed for the specific purpose of teaching infant career skills or infant care career skills, simulating that experience as closely as possible. It's meant for programs that want to teach childcare as a career pathway, whether it falls within a human services or education and training cluster. And after your students have completed the childcare simulation experience, if they go to work in a real childcare center, it should feel very familiar, like I've done this before. So it really is a complete solution combining simulation and curriculum to provide a capstone project for early childhood pathway programs where each student participates in that in-class infant childcare simulation, experience what it's like to manage multiple infants simultaneously. So they're going to have to care for infants of 3 months of age and also 9 months of age because the needs will differ. And it also takes place in a classroom setting, which will in effect act as your childcare center. We know that not all schools have childcare centers on site, and not all students can get hands-on practice with real infants. So this is the next best thing. So the program will include everything you need to create a simulated childcare facility, including portable cribs with each baby. You'll have a changing pad or changing table, high chair, all the supplies and accessories needed for each baby as well. And then we feel like once they go through this simulation experience, it's going to provide your students with those transferable career skills in infant care. So why was this experience developed? Well, if you're familiar with Real Care Baby, that simulation experience was developed when teen pregnancy prevention was truly more of an issue. In the past 30 years, Real Care Baby has been adapted to be used to learn infant caregiving skills that can be used in related occupations. But we developed childcare experience, what we're calling CCE, from the ground up. We asked teachers, what would you like to see in the ultimate childcare simulation experience? And we went out and we visited real childcare centers and we watched what infant care providers were doing in their rooms. And we developed some prototypes and we tested versions in classrooms around the country. We got the feedback, and the result that you see now is the program that we have now. Students will get the hands-on experience in the life of an infant child care worker. And then they're going to use those infant simulators to learn infant caregiving skills or even review the skills that they've learned with Real Care Baby. And then they're going to apply what they've learned. Again, not all of your students will have the ability to go into a real childcare center for that experience. Also, many instructors who use Real Care Baby now were looking for a more advanced simulation experience for those upper level students. And this can be considered almost a capstone project. So this groundbreaking program is really the future of childcare simulation. So what types of skills will they be learning in CCE? Well, it's going to teach them a very wide variety of skills throughout the program. So that 3-month baby also acts as a standalone CPR trainer, providing real-time feedback on depth and rate of compression. The 9-month baby is a standalone choking trainer as well, providing hands-on experience dislodging a choking object in an infant's airway. Now, we also weave employability skills throughout. They're going to have things like communication, teamwork, problem solving, critical thinking, and more. And entrepreneurship skills are foremost, and they're taught in such a way that they learn all the steps for opening their own childcare center. So this program is meant to be used as an ongoing resource throughout the semester, not just a one and done. So anything students have learned with Real Care Baby can be reviewed with this and reinforced, and then they learn from those foundational skills and build from there. So this is one that you'd set up and use throughout the semester over and over again, building those skills. So let's take a closer look now at just what the package contents and what makes up the childcare experience. So first of all, it consists of more than just that infant simulator. It's a complete solution, and there are several key parts. You have a complete curriculum, and you have a means of reporting, assessing, and grading, and you have all of the supplies needed for the operation of your childcare simulation experience. So the first thing we're going to take a closer look at today are those childcare babies. Again, you have the 3-month-old and the 9-month-old, and each of those babies comes with all of the supplies that you see under each caption here. If you think about it, we chose 3 months because that is a really important time frame, if you will, when many new parents head back to work after a maternity or paternity leave. And then we also know that there are infants of many ages in the same infant room, and they have differing needs as they grow older. So we also include that 9-month baby because it begins to sit up. You're going to use a solid food spoon to change it, and so forth. So each of the babies comes with everything you see listed below. Now we're going to take a closer look at each of those babies. Here we are featuring our 3-month-old childcare baby, which will come in 2 different skin tones, light and dark. And these babies are unisex babies. They have a very soft torso. Again, it comes in those 2 skin tones. They do have lifelike head and neck movements, and the head will need to be supported at all times when the babies are turned on. Again, this is a standalone CPR trainer, and your students are going to get that hands-on practice performing infant CPR. So they get the CPR kit included, and the tablet that comes with it will give that compression rate and depth feedback. It also has built-in rechargeable batteries, and it can communicate via Bluetooth. There's no latex on Childcare Baby or any of the accessories, but it arrives in a very cute little green outfit with a hat. And those are all of the items that you see: the swaddling garment, you've got the bottle, you've got the diaper, and then the CPR kit. And then it comes with 5 infant wristbands, because those are where you can name your baby, and they're reusable, so you can name your baby forever, or you could decide to change the name of your baby, and you would just insert a new name tag into that wristband that you'll put onto that baby. Now, here is our 9-month baby. And this baby is also a unisex baby with a soft torso, and it comes in a light and medium skin tone. This one acts as a standalone choking trainer, and your students will be able to practice dislodging a choking object from the throat using back slaps and chest thrusts. Again, this one is you comes with a charger. You charge it overnight, and it communicates via Bluetooth. And it will come to you in a very cute little yellow outfit. And again, you can see some of the different supplies with the 9-month baby include a nooker pacifier, the choking object, and then the solid food spoon that has some baby food on it. Now, here are all of the supplies and all of the care events that are needed to work with each of the babies. For example, with that 3-month baby, you've got feed, fussy, diaper change. You're going to have a CPR event. You're also going to have where they can sleep in the portable crib and so forth. For that 9-month baby, you will also have a solid food spoon for feeding, a pacifier for that fussy event, diapers, and then of course you'll also have some rocking and some burping events as well. So all of the items that come with the babies will be intricately used during the simulation experience. Now you also get what's called the accessory bundle, and you get one set of these. One of these is a tummy time blanket, and we include that because it's very important for students to be reinforced in the behaviors that you would want them to do in a real childcare center. And we know in a childcare center, you're not going to just lay a baby in the crib all day. We want them to be interacting with these babies, playing with them, giving them that tummy time to strengthen those neck muscles. You will also get a changing mat. So for every diaper change event, students will need to change them on that changing mat, also change out the diaper physically as well. And then you get a high chair because that will be used with our 9-month baby for the feeding event. You also will receive a dedicated tablet that comes preloaded with the software you're going to need in order to use the baby. On that software, it's going to have a demo mode where you're going to be able to practice with it. It will also have all of the software you need to put together your schedules and your simulation. But this tablet is also used by students during their shift. They actually will clock in on it. Then they also have to log all of the care that they give the babies during their shift, because in real life, parents of newborns or parents of infants get those daily schedules that tell them how many bottles their baby had, how many wet diapers, and so forth. That's just the kind of thing that students are going to have to log the care into on the tablet. You will also have some random health and safety events that will happen that students will also log their answer into as well. You will receive an 8-lesson curriculum, and we'll be going through that more in depth and a little later in our webinar today. You will have a means of tracking all of the care given by the student, and we are calling that the beacon with a wristband. And they look a lot like a Fitbit or a watch. You put them on during the simulation, and this is what will track all of the care that student gives to each and every baby in their care. It uses Bluetooth technology, and students simply put it on, and when they pick the babies up, it automatically identifies them as the child care provider providing the care. And then all of these items also does come in a small storage case to make things easy as well. We know storage is key and always a top need for many teachers. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for all of the items that come to be stored and also store flat. So we have a rolling case that you put the 4 babies in. They nest very nicely in that case. And then you get 2 large soft-sided carrying bags. In one of the bags, you're going to put the 4 portable cribs. They fold up very nice and small. And in the other one, you're going to put the accessory package, which was the changing table, the high chair, which folds up, and also that tummy time blanket and the software. So or tablet. So all of that can store in these 3 things, making storage a lot easier. Now, one thing we also always like to take into consideration is classroom management. And we know that your students are going to be rotating through this simulation experience in class, but you're going to have the rest of the class needs to be doing something. So we provide what we call the Classroom Management Lab Pack. And it's a series of 4 different scenario card decks that you can set up in stations around your room, and your students could be rotating through them for the entire week if you wanted them to. 2 of the card decks focus specifically on integrating soft skills, and then the other 2 decks focus on teaching those technical skills. So a great answer to classroom management, and they can be integrated and used with the program in a lot of different ways. So those come with the program also. You will get an online link to many different resources. First of all, it'll give you access to the curriculum, which includes all of the assessment, hands-on activities and everything you need. It'll come with a printable care card, which is just kind of, you can print it off and put it up in your classroom. It's just a nice visual reminder for each of the care events for students. You'll get a child care experience participant certificate if your students successfully go through the whole experience and you want to award them that. That's a great thing for them to walk away with. We also will have a quick start guide and a very intensive software help guide so that all of your questions can be answered, hopefully, on how to use the program. So at this point, we are going to go into taking a closer look at some of the software and programming. So Here's the splash screen that you get when you turn on your tablet, and you will see there's simulation instructor dashboard. Then you've, of course, got the CPR and the choking part of it. Very easy to get started. I'm actually going to walk you through a little bit of the software in a little bit later here. But you turn it on and you add your babies to the software, similar to the Real Care program. Then you can create or name the class. You can create different groups within a class. You add the babies to each group that assigns the specific babies that those students are going to care for, and then you go ahead and run your simulation. There will be random events because in real life, unpredictable things can happen throughout the day. And you, as the instructor, can program random events and decide how many you wish to happen during a simulation. So when a random event occurs, students will be alerted there's an audio cue. It's almost like a doorbell. And they have to go over to the tablet, and then the scenario pops up on the screen. They read through it, and it always asks, how will you handle this? Or what would you do? And then they select their name from the drop down, and then they type in their answer and submit it. We have also had some teachers assign these as group events. So if you have 2 students caring for 4 babies, you could have one student just read it to the group, and as a group come to a consensus on how you would answer that, and then submit your answer. But it really makes students do a lot of problem solving. And all of the scenarios were written by subject matter experts, childcare directors, or childcare teachers. So very realistic. Now, this is a little bit more about that, logging the care into that infant daily report. After each care event, students would go in and they would log themselves as the care provider and then choose the care event. They can even add notes. For example, if it were a feeding event, they could say, your infant drank half a bottle, or maybe if it was a diaper change, they had a bowel movement. Now, we did observe in real childcare centers, sometimes there's so much going on, they can't always enter the care right away. So we found that many childcare providers had a hard copy notepad right next to the tablet available so that they could jot some quick notes and then enter them later. So in the curriculum, we also do provide a hard copy infant daily report form as well. So teachers can decide if they wish to have them do it online, hard copy, or have both available to handle situations when multiple care events are happening with those infants and students need to prioritize. So one thing that's always a best practice is to practice in demo mode. We think that this is a tool that you are going to use constantly throughout your semester or throughout your course. And here are the different care events. So when the babies start to cry, the 3 or the 9 month, they are asking for care. And there's a burp event, a rock, a feed, and a diaper change. Those will sound very familiar to Real Care. However, there's a new event called Fussy. And with the 3 month, you swaddle, you use the swaddling garment, or with the 9 month, you're given a pacifier. There's also those random events. And then the choking event can also be scheduled as a miscellaneous event during a simulation as well. So all of these things are the events that will happen during the simulation that students will have to learn how to do. So we really recommend that you use demo event to have students get used to handling each of those care events before just immersing them in that simulation. So the first event is our feed event. Similar to Real Care, that 3 month baby will use a bottle and it will make a sucking sound and it will coo when it's done. The 9 month baby, you are going to put that baby in a high chair and you're going to use the solid food spoon to feed that baby. You're going to hold it up and put it in the mouth, and the baby is going to make an eating sound, and it will also coo when it's done. So very fun for students to do that. Both of these babies will have a burping event, and it's just like you think. You'd put it over the shoulder and you pat it on the back, and when it's done, it will make that burping sound, and students will know they've been successful. We also do provide a rocking event, and it's just that constant side-to-side gentle rocking motion. And it's very normal to hear the baby making soft whimpering sounds, not screaming sounds or anything like that, but they're happy when they're being rocked, and it will coo at the end of that event. Diaper changes are a little bit more more elaborate in this simulation, because students are going to be required to put the baby on the changing table, strap them in for safety, and then change out the diapers, because there are 2 diapers given to each baby when you purchase the program, and they change them out. So the sensor on the diaper will register when it's being changed. But then after you change that baby, you need to go into the tablet. When you log that care event, as a note, you need to put, I washed my hands, because in real life, you have to wash your hands after you get done, or if you've gloved up, take the gloves off, but make sure your hands are clean before you pick the baby back up again. So just one more thing that students need to learn to thoughtfully think through when they're doing a diaper change. One of our newer events is a fussy event. Our 3-month baby, you will get a swaddling garment, and which has a sensor in it. And when you lay it down and you start to swaddle, once you have the swaddle garment on and you pick it up and rock it, it will coo when it's done and it will calm down. Now, the 9-month baby, when it starts to cry in a fussy event, you will be given a pacifier. And just like a real baby, many of them love that Nook. And when you put that in the baby's mouth, it's going to stop crying and it will be one happy baby. We also do request or suggest that teachers who use the program do what we call an abuse demonstration. So this is what you should not do with your baby, because these actions will be tracked if they're done, and these things will impact the grade, the final report, if you will. So we want to show students that they are being held accountable. So you can put baby in demo mode, and you can do the head support failure, which is where the baby's head falls back when it's not supported. That's on the 3-month only. Shaken baby is on the 3-month only, and that's shaking it 3 times within 2 seconds back and forth vigorously. And then rough handling is on the 3 or the 9-month babies, where it's any really forceful hitting, kicking, dropping movements. Those will register as abuse in the software, and they'll take the points away from the final score. So we want students to really understand what they should not do, because they will be held accountable for that as well. So at this time, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I am going to go over to the software, and I'm going to share that with you now, so you can see a little bit more about just how this software looks and works. Very intuitive. Once you've used it a few times, it really does become pretty easy to use. Now, first of all, you can see an instructor dashboard. And when I go into that, you can see you can create classes. So you can name the class that you're going to be using this for. And then a class, you can create different groups and assign different groups of babies to it and so forth. If you go under babies, that's where you're going to find the demo mode. And you select the baby and you can go into demo mode. You can customize a demo. You can also do a quick demo where all of the events are 1 minute and they just buzz right through that. If you want to show your students that, you can put it in a continuous loop. You can choose all the babies that you want, and students just get a lot of practice doing all of those events. So a great way for your students to be able to learn how to use this program. You can see beacons there. That's when the students clock in. They are given one of those beacons on a wristband that they put on, and they make sure that the number on theirs matches up with what they're seeing on the screen, and then they go ahead and they clock in. I'm going to just go out of this and show you a simulation. So if you did, here we go. Simulation history. Let me go to start simulation here, instructor section. All right, so if I wanted to create a new class, I go in there and I type the name in. Or if I want to go into a class that I already have, I can go ahead and I can name a group. I can decide which babies I want to add to be used by a group in a class. So let's say I have all 4 babies that I want group A to be responsible for. So all 4 of my babies are now in this simulation. And when you click on schedule, lots of different options, totally customizable, which we love. You can click on a random fill. You can choose the level of complexity. Let's just do medium, and generate, and a schedule generates for all of the babies. However, you can go in and manipulate and change the length of each care event. You can decide if you want more of them to overlap or to spread them out. You can even clear a schedule and you can create one from scratch by dropping and dragging events. And this is where you see at the top, there's rock, burp, feed, fuss, diaper, choke, and scenario. And scenario is when you're going to plan one of those random scenarios. You can create a schedule and you can save it. And then you can name your schedule. I'll just put a sample here. Because once you do some schedules and you save them as favorites, you can use them over and over. So maybe you create an easy and a medium and difficult level schedule for varying times. Maybe you have a 1 hour class, maybe a 45-minute class. Maybe you want one to have 2 babies, one can have 3 babies, one could have 4 babies, and you can do the simulation multiple times with your students, working up their skill level to that final 1-to-4 ratio. So again, very customizable. You can go in and you can change the length of the care events. Again, you can clear it out, and if you did a random fill, let's say this time we want to do easy. Maybe you have special needs students in your class that want to do this as a career pathway, but you really want to ease them into it and spread some of the things out. You could go in and you could decide, I don't want there to be as much overlap in some of these events, so I'm going to spread them out. And you can drop and drag. You could also delete certain events if you wished by deleting the event and making a more of an easier schedule, and then save it as a favorite forever. So we love this because it's so customizable for whatever you wish to do, and you can save it. You can delete schedules. You can just do standalone choking and standalone CPR classes. There's lessons in the curriculum on both of those topics. There's a report center that you click. That's where you get your reports. And we're going to be showing you some sample reports. There's 3 levels of reporting that is available as well. So that is just a little bit of a look at how the programming screens look and what you do with them. Again, very easy to use once you've been through it a few times. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing, and I am going to go into a video now. And we will continue on with the informational portion. So simulation results. We know that there are 3 different levels of reporting for the program. There are student reports, and there are group reports, and there are also baby level reports. So all the assessment is built in, so we try to make it very easy for you to be able to assess the students. So the group report here's a sample report, it's 2 pages, and it has all the information for that group simulation, identifying the students in it, all of the babies that were a part of it. You get that group overall performance percentage. There's going to have the number of care events. So proper care is when they do everything right. Attempted care is maybe they didn't figure out which care event it was during the care event and it ended. But attempted care, they get half the points because attempted care is better than no care at all. Missed care simply means they never got to it, they never dealt with it, so there was missed care. And then of course the abuse events are on here as well. There's a student summary, and then there's those random scenarios if they pop up. The answer that they submitted also shows up on the group report, and then there's a total summary of all of the events, timestamp. Now you can also drill down and do a student level report as well. So I've got 2 different students that were in a particular scenario here, or simulation, and it will tell you how many care events each of them cared for, how many proper cares, how many attempted, missed, average response time. The fewer seconds it is, the better. They're more responsive in meeting the baby's needs. And if they had issue or difficulty responding in a timely fashion, it will also identify when it took longer than a minute. So it will summarize all of those care events. Any abuse that happens will show up here as well. And then any random scenarios that this student answered will show up. And you can also see it says infant report to the parent or guardian. That is where all the care events should show up if they properly log them into that infant report. And we think those 2 first reports, the group report and the student report, will be the reports used most often. Here's a sample baby level report where if you wanted to drill down this far, you could see all the care given to each baby in a specific simulation and how they were cared for and who did it and so forth. So lots of levels of reporting. And then in the curriculum, we also do have a rubric as well that you can use for grading if you choose to. And it just is a little bit more global about all of the different kind of skills and things that were a part of that simulation experience. So here's a little bit more information on those standalone infant and choking and CPR features. First of all, to start this up, you would click on the CPR trainer on that on your splash screen, and then you can see what that screen would look like. And as students are giving the chest compressions and the kind of the mouth to mouth, it will rate the compression rate and the depth. So students will get that real-time feedback if they're going too shallow, if they're just right, and so forth. So here's the things that you will find in the CPR kit. There are the sanitary bags, which are the reusable consumables that you thread through the face mask. And then we also do have a little vest that you put on, and this will help students identify those anatomical landmarks, between the nipple line and one finger width below, and that is where you do those compressions. So, and then you use the tablet, which will give you that feedback on the rate and the depth and so forth. So that's a little bit more about how that infant CPR works. And then students can get the hands-on practice and they learn the correct process or procedure in the lesson provided. Similarly for choking, you can, if you want to do a standalone choking lesson, you click on choking, and then you have to lodge the thing you have to have it in the baby's throat before you start it. And then as students do 5 back slaps and 5 chest thrusts, that object will be expelled. And then once it's expelled, when they look at the tablet, it will say baby saved. So that's, again, giving students those really good life-saving hands-on practice of those specific skills. So now let's take a look at the curriculum. There are 8 lessons in this curriculum, and many of these lessons integrate the use of the childcare babies, and it will culminate with that childcare simulation experience. But the focus of this curriculum is really to teach those foundational knowledge and transferable career skills in childcare, specifically working with infants. We do align national FACS standards. This is available. This document will be available on our product page, where we have a link or a curriculum overview, if you will. But what courses would you use something like this in? Well, we actually took a few descriptions from different syllabuses and different things right on the internet. We looked for high school programs and child development, early childhood education, any kind of a CDA certification courses. Those are perfect for using the childcare experience because we know that many schools teach child development. Maybe it's all grades 9 through 12, but you're looking for that advanced skill level simulation experience to teach more advanced skills at the upper, maybe junior and senior levels. So these are just some examples that we found online of some courses for early childhood education. And it really was a great visual to show there's room for Realcare to teach those foundational skills, but then build on those, review them, and grow those skills using the childcare experience. So we have a lesson template that has 3 main sections. And of course, if you're familiar with our curricula that come with most of our products, this will look very, very familiar to you. So lesson number 1 is all about infant feeding and nutrition. Starts with a pre-assessment, and then you're going to get information on infant feeding and nutrition, and then you're going to use your childcare babies to actively feed both the 3 and the 9-month infants. And then there is a review activity or sheet at the end of that one. Lesson 2 is all about the developmental domains, the physical, intellectual, emotional, and social. Again, you're going to do a pre-assessment to see what students know. Then they're going to learn all about each of those different domains, and then they're going to dive into some case studies. And that's really great application of the knowledge that they're learning. Lesson 3 is all about lesson planning and that daily schedule planning. And this may be something brand new for students to consider. So they're going to do some brainstorming on the front end of it. Then they're actually going to get some slide presentation with some sample schedules that real teachers and programs are using. And then they're going to also go through a licensing activity because licensing is an important part of starting your own childcare center. Communication with parents, of course, is key. And it's going to start the lesson off with the 7 Bs of effective communication. And then they're going to get into some communication skills for childcare professionals. They're going to learn some strategies, and then they're going to go ahead and practice some of the written communication with those infant daily reports. And you can use the software for that. So that makes it great. Again, immerses them in a realistic situation where they're learning to do not only written communication, but oral communication. And then there's an assessment activity that wraps that lesson up. Lesson 5 is entrepreneurship. And we love this lesson because students, many of them are very entrepreneurial, and they may want to open their own childcare center. So they learn, first of all, dream. What would you want it to look like if you did this? Then they go through all of the things you really need to think about when you're opening a childcare center, and then they review and they create their own plan at the end. We also have a childcare center design kit, which really works nicely with this lesson if you have it. And we also have a contemporary entrepreneurship program that, again, can be used in tandem with this to really do a deep dive into entrepreneurship. Lesson 6 is going to be your standalone infant CPR lesson, where you're going to learn all of the steps. You're going to get that hands-on practice, and then you're going to test out of those skills. Same thing with the infant airway obstruction. You're going to use those babies, but the first thing you're going to do is learn to identify choking hazards. And there's going to be a bunch of things presented to students, and they have to make that decision. Then they're going to learn the proper process for those back slaps and those chest thrusts. And then they're going to go ahead and get that hands-on practice and learn to do it until they save the baby and do it correctly. And then lesson 8 is really that immersive simulation experience. Now, while we have one lesson that says simulation, this is really just to kick you off. We think that you should do simulations throughout the semester. Don't just do one. You want to build those skills. So we say, use the simulation to practice individual skills, then put them together. Maybe start with one student caring for 2 babies, then 3, then up to 4. So build those skills as you reinforce that foundation. So there's lots of information in this lesson on how to use these babies. Practice in demo mode, get their hands on. They love the hands on. Use those stations that we've provided for all those scenario card decks. But another thing we've done is to include debrief and reflection. We know that's really a critical part of the whole experience. Thinking about what you've learned, what you could do differently, and so forth. So now we're going to talk just briefly about the packages and pricing that these are available in. This is a great visual and into implementation guide from our marketing department that you have available to you, but it's a great visual for you to see how you could set up your room where you have all of the babies with their pop-up or portable cribs, and then you've got your changing table on one side, but you can also set up some, if you have some of the other babies of ours, you could set those up in an area, but you can set up a space that really feels much like a pop-up daycare. So packages and pricing, we have two big packages, main packages that are available are for baby. It's just under 8,000 and the 8 babies just under 12,000, but you get all of the things that I've been showing you in that package to run that size of a in-class childcare center. So for the 4 baby pack, you get 2 3-month babies. One will be a light skin tone, one will be a dark, and then you get 2 9-month babies. One will be light and one will be medium. You get the accessory package, the starter kit, the storage, classroom management pack. And then for the 8 baby, it simply doubles the number of babies you have. So depending on the amount of students you have, and also the amount of time you have, that will help you to dictate and know kind of which package you should go for. However, if you really wish to customize it even further than the 4 and 8, there are add-on babies available as well. So if you say maybe 6 would be your perfect size, you can add more add-ons to a 4-pack, or you can add a few more to an 8-pack. So you can think about, what works best for your classroom, but those are available as well. We are putting together many, many resources to make implementation successful and easy for you once you have the program. We certainly expect to run training webinars from time to time, but we're going to have archived webinars available for you to access on demand for your own training purposes. We're going to have an implementation page, which has the guide. It's going to feature videos that you can share with your students on the different care events. Product page has many different things available. So if you scan that QR code, that will take you right to the product page for a lot more information. You'll have a sample of the curriculum. So lots available there. So just to point out a few of the things available to you for resources. So I've thrown a lot at you in the last 45 minutes. And Emily has been watching the chat box. So we would open it up for any questions you might have right now on anything we've covered today on the childcare experience or any of the contents, anything at all.
Perfect. Well, while we wait for some questions to roll in, we do have a QR scanner. If you are interested in speaking to a local account rep from Realityworks to help start or refresh your program, you can scan this QR scanner, fill out the form, and we will be in touch with you. So we do have Denise on for some questions. So first question is, are you able to use the simulation in different shifts if you're wanting to use it, say, the same day in a couple different classes?
Yes, you simply run it, well, whenever you want to, it would be back to back. You wouldn't be able to run, well, there's different ways you can set it up. So depending on the amount of students you have, you could have, and the amount of babies, you could have a few small groups working with different groups of babies if you had enough, or if you had several classes in the same day, you simply start the simulation when you wish during that class period, and you end it within the class period. As far as the schedules that you choose, if you have a favorite saved, you can use it over and over if you'd like, or you can create new schedules and use different ones from class to class.
Perfect. And kind of in conjunction with that question, how many babies are typically recommended for a classroom?
Again, it depends on the size of your class. If you have a class of about 20 to 25 students, I think a 4-pack would be adequate for rotating through. If you have more than 25 students, an 8-pack would probably work just a little bit better. And it also partially depends on the amount of class time that you meet and the amount of class time you can dedicate to using the simulation. But this is a resource that we would want you to be using weekly to be doing certainly learning and reviewing individual infant care skills, and then building up from ground zero, maybe a 1-to-1 ratio with student and baby, then 1-to-2, 1-to-3, 1-to-4. And then you can also be building up the difficulty level of the schedules that you put together as well. So maybe you start with it more simplistic, and eventually you can create schedules that have more multiple overlapping care events. So students have to prioritize and be able to juggle things happening at the same time.
Perfect. Awesome. And then just one more quick question. What are the major differences between CCE and, say, our Real Care Baby?
The biggest difference I would say is that the Real Care Baby is an at-home experience where students are learning the level of responsibility for that one-to-one care, one student to one infant, totally immersive, away from school. And the childcare experience is an on-site, really, it's a simulated infant childcare in your classroom. So it's just like having your students go to the back of the room, they clock in, they work their shift, just like they're going to work in an infant childcare center.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, that is all the questions that I see here.
Excellent. Well, we'd like to thank everyone for spending the time today. And if you do want any more information about the things we covered today, please reach out to us at our website. You can chat, you can call. We're happy to speak with you. So thank you very much, everyone.